Welcome back to Quick Concepts. Today we're going to be discussing exponents. So I'm going to give you the exponential rules there are, and then we're going to just apply them to some quick problems so you can kind of see what's going on. So here are the rules when it comes to exponents. First of all, whenever you are adding like variables, actually not adding, when you are multiplying like variables, you add the exponents. So for instance, if we had x squared times x to the third, we would have x to the fifth. That's rule number one. Rule number two is when you are dividing like variables, you subtract the exponents. So what this looks like is, let's say I had x to the fifth divided by x to the third. 5 minus 3 is x squared. Let me just show you that up here so you understand. Okay, now when you have an exponent raised to another exponent, you multiply. For instance, if I have x squared to the fourth, I would say this is x to the 8th. So it's 2 times 4 is equal to 8. Okay. Another thing is any variable or number raised to the 0 power always equals 1. So for instance, x to the 0 equals 1 and 4 to the 0 equals 1. Okay. When you have a negative exponent, to make it positive, you flip the number. So what I mean is if I have x to the negative 2, I can write it as x squared. Or if I have 3 to the negative 2, I cannot solve it until I flip it. Okay, and that's the same thing for the bottom. If I have 1 over x to the negative 2, I can rewrite it like this. Or if I have 1 over 3 to the negative 2, I can rewrite it like this. And that's your answer. So I think that covers all of the rules. Let's do a couple problems and see if we can deal with this. Okay, so first of all, we see that's a negative exponent. You have to get rid of the negative exponent. But remember that this is only pertaining to the 4. So what happens is this negative stays on top in the form of a negative 1, and the 4 comes to the bottom, the 2 becomes positive, and we have negative 1 over 16. Now look at this one. This one's a little bit more complicated. So for instance here, now this time, this pertains to this, but this still stays on top. Negative 4 times negative 4 is a positive 16. Now let's get into some of those variables. Okay, baby steps. Let's deal with our parentheses first. You're still going to do an order of operations here. When it's an exponent to an exponent, you multiply. So this becomes x to the 0, y to the 0. This becomes x to the 6th. And remember, when there's nothing there, it's understood to be a 1. And I'm just going to write these down on the bottom. Now these first two just become ones. 1 times x to the 6 times y to the negative 2. Now let's go ahead and combine the like variables. Remember, this is multiplication. So I'm going to add these. I'm going to say negative 8 plus 2 is negative 6. So it's y to the negative 6. And then I'm going to add this. It's going to be 4 plus 3, which is 7. So I'm going to have x to the 7th. Now 1 times 1 is 1 times x is x to the 6. So I'm just going to rewrite this down here. Now for last step, we're going to divide. So our x is going to be what? 6 minus 7, which is negative 1. And then our y is going to be, so this is our x, our y is going to be negative 2 minus negative 6, which is a plus positive 6, which gives us 4. So it's y to the 4th. And let's say they wanted you to give your answer in all positive exponents. We would just move the x to the bottom. And you don't have to put the 1, just understand it's there, unless it is negative and you do have to put it. And that covers exponents.